All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're talking about what is, without a doubt, the single most important journey in the life of the Prophet Muhammad, his final pilgrimage. And look, this wasn't just a trip or a ritual. This was the grand finale of a 23-year mission. It was the last great lesson for all of humanity.
So, set the scene. It's the 10th year after the migration to Al-Medina. A huge announcement echoes across the entire Arabian Peninsula. The Prophet is going for Hajj, and this would be the one and only Hajj he would ever perform.
And the response, it was absolutely massive. I mean, from every direction, as far as you could see, people started coming. We're talking more than 100,000 souls, forming this great river of humanity, all flowing towards Mecca just to be with him on this sacred journey.
But you have to ask, why now? What was so special about this 10th year? Why was this the moment for such a huge, monumental event? Let's unpack the divine command and see how this pilgrimage was unlike any that had come before it.
Now here's where it gets really interesting. The Hajj was actually made mandatory a year before this. So why did the Prophet wait? Well, it's because the Kaaba, the sacred house itself, had to be completely purified from all the idols and pagan rituals of the past. He waited until it was a space purely for the worship of the one God. This was about unifying everyone under one single sacred purpose. So, with everything set, the great journey from Al-Medina to Makkah finally begins. And you gotta understand, this wasn't just about walking across a desert. It was a deep spiritual movement, and it was all brought together by one unifying chant. This is the Talbiyah. It's the pilgrim's anthem. Can you just imagine that? A sea of people, all moving as one across the sands, with this one chant on their lips. The Prophet taught them these exact words to make sure their intentions were pure, to strip away any other reason for being there, and just focus their hearts completely on God. It was a moving declaration that God is one.
So as the pilgrims finally arrive in the holy city of Mecca, the Prophet starts to lead them through these ancient rituals. But he wasn't just going through the motions. No way. He was reclaiming them, breathing new life into them, and connecting them back to their true monotheistic origins.
So the moment they get to the Kaaba, the Prophet begins the tawaf, circling the house 7 times. It's such a beautiful act that shows this incredible connection to the past. He then walks over to the Station of Abraham, recites this very verse, and prays. He's literally physically reconnecting his community to the Prophet who first built this house of God.
Next up was the Sari, which is this walk between 2 small hills, As-Safa and Al-Marwa. When he got to the top of As-Safa, he turned to face the Kaaba and declared, "None has the right to be worshipped except Allah, alone, without partner." Just like that, he turned a physical walk into this powerful public declaration of faith.
Okay, now we're getting to what is, for so many, the absolute peak of the entire pilgrimage. On the 9th day of the month, all the pilgrims gather at a place called Arafah. And it was right there, sitting atop his camel, that the Prophet delivered one of the most important speeches in the history of humankind. And listen, this wasn't just a sermon for the people standing there that day. It was a universal charter for human rights and responsibilities. He made it crystal clear, life and property are sacred. He completely crushed the unjust traditions of the past. He commanded kindness and justice towards women. And then he left them, and us, a timeless guide, the Book of Allah. Then came this incredibly powerful moment. After laying out all these principles, he looked out at that massive crowd and asked them, "Have I not delivered the message?" And you can just imagine the sound as they all roared back, "Yes!" He then raised his finger to the sky, then pointed it towards the people, and said it 3 times. "O Allah, bear witness." As the sun started to go down on that incredible day at Arafah, a divine revelation came down that changed everything. For his closest followers, it brought a feeling of completion, but also a deep, bittersweet understanding of what was to come. Just try to imagine hearing those words after 23 years of struggle, of being persecuted, of sacrifice. This verse was the divine seal of approval. It was done. The mission was complete. The message was now perfected and protected for all time. But this moment of total triumph was also a moment of incredible sadness. You see, his companions, they got it. They understood what this meant on a deeper level. When something is perfected, its job is done. They knew right then and there that the Prophet's time with them was coming to an end. And they wept. Now,
Even though the climax at Arafah was over, the pilgrimage was still going. The last few days were filled with really important acts of worship and some final, crucial instructions that were meant to secure his teachings for all time. Over in Mina, the prophet performed the ritual sacrifice. And here's a little detail I find amazing. He sacrificed 63 camels with his own hands, one for each year of his life. His cousin Ali then completed the number up to 100. It was this deeply symbolic act, teaching that every single year of your life should be an offering to God. On the journey back home, the group stopped at a place called Ghadir Khum. He gathered everyone one last time and gave them this final charge. He told them to hold on tight to the Qur'an and to honor and respect his family. He basically gave them 2 lifelines to hold on to make sure the community wouldn't lose its way. You know, when you look at this whole journey, there's one question that hangs over every single action, every single word. It's the question every messenger has to face. And it's the question he put directly to his followers, and really to all of us. Have I done my job? Have I delivered the trust? And with one voice, that whole sea of humanity, more than 100,000 witnesses, they gave their answer. Yes, we bear witness. The message was received, the duty was fulfilled, the trust was delivered. His life's work was finally complete, and it was sealed by the testimony of his entire nation. So in one single journey, the Prophet Muhammad cemented the rituals of an entire faith, he delivered a timeless charter for human dignity, and he said goodbye to his people. It was a final lesson from a teacher whose message is still echoing through the ages.